But here's the troubling part. The average age of the black officer in CPD, 45 years old. The average age. 45 years old is the average black cop. So that means, we can retire at 50. 5 years, the average black cop is gone. We're on the verge of being extinct and obsolete from policing in Chicago.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. Hey, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the interrogation room. My name is Dale. I'm the host of the Black and Blue Podcast. I appreciate you coming into the show today, because now I got a special show for you. I got two. We're going to call this a double tap. I got two guests for you here today. First, let me welcome in my man. He's going to be a recurring guest on the show. Help me welcome in my man, Roy Williamson. How you doing, Roy?
Good. How you doing, Dale?
I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, dealing with the,
Yeah. What's that? You driving? What you doing?
No, I'm in the car. I got to get out the house, man. I got a little kid.
Yeah, I heard some seatbelt thing going on. So, but it's all good. Yeah, it's all good, man. Buckle up. We'll want nothing to happen. So tell the people what do you do and how long you been doing it?
I'm a police officer. I've been a police officer for about 15 years. Currently in community policing with the side assignment of SWAT.
Okay, all right. So what's community policing? What does that involve?
Well, it's dealing with the community, dealing with at-risk youth, midnight basketball programs, after-school programs, dealing with any kind of issues in the community, any issues that's kind of too burdensome for patrol to handle. We kind of go in, kind of try to make it right. Things that probably aren't traditional law enforcement issues. Okay, got you.
And you've been doing that how long?
Almost 3 years now.
All right, cool. And on SWAT, what do you do with SWAT?
Well, everybody kind of knows what, SWAT do, special weapons and tactics, any high-risk warrants and things like that, dangerous situations that probably need a little bit more expertise than the average, patrol officer can handle. They'll, get called and activated for SWAT.
Nice.
They make a lot of movies, movies about SWAT stuff. So people kind of get.
Yeah, for real. I just want to get some clarification for our audience there.
Yeah.
It's all good. And all right, cool, man. I appreciate you coming in. Like I said, you're going to be a recurring guest. So we'll get right to our real guests on the show here. So everybody help me welcome in my man, Jermaine Harris. What's up, Jermaine? How you doing, brother?
How's it going? Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the title of the show today is going to be a double tap. We got both you guys on. How do you guys know each other?
Oh, that's my cousin. We're first cousins.
First cousin.
First cousin. Yeah.
Nice. I know Roy's out here in California. Tell the people where you at right now, Jermaine.
So I'm out in Chicago. I'm with the Chicago Police Department. So we're on halfway across the country from each other, but we still cousins doing the same job.
That's all good. So Chicago PD. How long you been there?
So I'm starting my 18th year.
18. And what do you do now?
So right now my job is in, just like my cousin here, in community policing. I guess we were built for this, right?
Built for that.
So,
running the family, yeah.
Yeah, it does. But it's that West Side upbringing. You're familiar with Chicago. We both grew up on the West Side, so it's our predominantly African American community area on the West Side. So what I do in community policing is that I work within several districts. So it's kind of with the setup. So some people say precinct, district, area, whatever. So I work within several districts on the West Side to do that community policing aspect, kind of how what Roy mentioned. about just doing these non-traditional efforts and building this community empowerment. One of the big things I do as well is working with our community organizations. So it's a combination of using police, our faith-based community, and our community organizations or nonprofits to kind of facilitate the addressing these root causes of violence and working on creating a difference and transforming communities that way.
Yeah. You guys been kind of busy, kind of in the news with the shootings going on in Chicago. How are you guys dealing with that?
So that's kind of, so it's a little bit two parts to it a little bit. Okay. So when you see the things you hear, you are going to most often hear about the violence and the shooting piece. But I tell you, that's only really a glimpse of what Chicago is, right?
Absolutely.
It's like you put anything, you highlight it and you showcase it, and that's all people know is what they're going to associate with us. But I'll tell you, with those cases and the violence, there are tons and tons and tons of families, great kids, great people coming out of Chicago and really doing a lot to give back. It's just one of my big things too, is like one of my personal missions is really to shift that narrative, to start having us see ourselves in a different way so that we live a different way. Instead of injecting that same negativity into it, let's change that narrative and see what happens when we see ourselves differently.
Definitely. So are you originally from Chicago?
Absolutely, born and raised. And the cool part is that I had an opportunity, to become a police officer and then patrol, on the same neighborhoods, the same streets I grew up on.
Nice.
That was one of the best things. And it really kind of, that when I got that chance to kind of return home, it shifted a little bit about how I saw policing and the impact that I wanted to make, because it became personal.
Okay. All right. Nice. Roy, are you originally from Chicago too?
Oh yeah, originally from Chicago. Of course, I left. I spent a little time in Alabama. I joined the Army. And it just short in a lot of ways. Like what my cousin said, changing the light of how police are viewed. He joined the Marines before I joined the Army. He became a cop before I became a cop. So in essence, he's a little bit older than me. He's my big cousin. So I kind of followed in his footsteps, right? And my brother joined the Coast Guard. So it kind of is almost like he broke down a barrier to show me and an uncle before us, Uncle Joe, that it was okay to be black, to be a cop. So once he did it, I was like, hey, it's cool to become a cop. So, I became a cop,
Was that like not the thing to do in your neighborhood when you guys came up?
And not from the West Side, growing up where we grew up, it wasn't cool to become a cop. It wasn't acceptable, but we had people before us that became cops, and that's the same. I think that's why we're both in community policing, because we show younger minorities, black, Hispanic, that hey, it's okay to become a cop, and that's kind of exactly what we do, and what we do, we got people in the office that are coming up that are probably going to be police officers, and it's basically because they interacted with the community policing department, because they see people that look like them became cops, and now they want to become cops.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I wanted to do this show, to show people, black, brown, Asian, gay, lesbian, that we normal people like you, and it's okay, to show that that we're just like you. Come out and do what we do, and maybe when they see this, they say, hey, I could do that too. So yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. So Jermaine, you married? You got kids? What's going on over there in the household?
So I got, well, I guess technically they're kids, but they're big now. So my 41-year-old daughter who's actually graduating from college this year.
Oh, and nice! Congratulations.
Yeah, and my son is a 16-year-old junior on his way out. So pretty soon I'll have both of them shipped out and kind of on their on their way.
What do they want to do? Do they know?
What's that?
What do they want to do with their lives? Do they know yet?
So my like with kids, as you'll know, Roy's got a couple of them. So with kids, like you raise them the exact same way, and then they come out totally different, right?
Right.
Regardless of that thing is. So my daughter, she's like really on point, meticulous, like has her stuff lined up. She's already got a job set before she even graduates, so she's on that and taking care of business.
What's her field?
What's
her field?
Accounting.
Okay, nice. I got my bachelor's in accounting.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll let her know. You maybe hook her up with some insights.
Okay, it's been a while though. I've been a cop longer than I was an accountant. So. Yeah, nice.
So with my son, his thing is, so he's big into sports. He's he plays baseball, and he's a little tougher. You got to remind him more often, right? Those kind of things like, hey, you got to tell them a few times to clean the room up. So, but either way, but despite both of them, great kids. examples, those perfect examples of kind of how Roy mentioned, West Side kids that are defying the odds, doing things you wouldn't expect when you see the stories or hear them, what's described about them, staying out of trouble, great grades, great schools, outstanding kids. And that's really what our community's made of.
Yeah.
It's more of that than the other thing.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, absolutely. And are the schools over there, are they closed right now?
Yeah, so they so this last week the schools were going to be the announcement was made that the schools are going to be closed for the remainder of the year. So they're doing remote learning and in that place. And so one of the if we get into it, I'm sure we're going to end up talking about the COVID-19.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kind of thing.
Go ahead.
And so with the schools being down, what that does is like we're starting to lose a lot of the systems that were in place for safety from policing standpoint. So like these basic things when you think about it. So when you remove the school, so we have the crossing guards that are gone, right? These are adults that are generally outside watching. You've got bus drivers that are gone. You've got parents coming back and forth taking kids that are gone. So now our streets are empty. And so what we're running into is a lot of when it comes to crime and the violence piece is the general systems of Overwatch and adults being involved are now being removed, and it's really causing some issues there. So that school thing, you never realize like how valuable that was, not just to education, but to the fabric of the community.
No doubt. And all that's gone now. So how you guys at Chicago PD dealing with the COVID?
This is two battles, man. We're in two wars simultaneously, from the crime piece plus the COVID-19 issues, and then the combination of the two of them. Yeah. Because you got to look at one thing, the impact that it's having on law enforcement. We've lost 3 officers.
The Chicago PD?
From CPD have died from COVID-19. And it's like back to back, week after week. We've lost 3 of our guys. Yeah. CFD's lost 2. The fire department's lost 2 as well. Mm-hmm. And, so that type of thing is like, this is real. This is something that not only are you worrying about the bad guy, right? You're worrying about being safe on the traffic stop. Yep. Now you got to worry about, am I protected from breathing or touching someone? Right. So that kind of adds this, you got these double layers that we're trying to deal with and kind of combat. But of course, we're there every day. Yeah. You're never gonna not call in, report. No doubt. That's what we do. That's the business.
Now, does patrol, do they roll double or single in a car?
Depending on so the way we got about 13,000 cops. So we're the second largest. We just recently LAPD was, but we passed them up. I don't know, they stopped hiring. But so we're the second largest department in the country. So how we're set up, generally everyone works with a partner. We call it 10-4. So everyone works with a partner, except in the day shifts. During the daytime hours, it's usually a single person that works alone. So then that part, one of the precautions we made was that from now on, the districts were setting up that you're going to work with the same partner. Well, that limits that in case someone gets infected or comes down with the virus, you're not getting the whole entire watch shut down, because that could be catastrophic, man. It goes through a whole district or an entire watch, we're in trouble. So
yeah. Are you guys required to wear a mask with your partner in the car? I was talking to a brother from Houston PD just yesterday. I interviewed him. He said, when they double up, they got to wear a mask in the car with their partner.
Wow.
Yeah. So we just that hasn't been the standard as of yet, but the city, the mayor, and the governor has recently just passed all public places that masks are required. So it's going to get to that point, because the big issue with doing that was that the shortage of PPE in general. Right. There was a major shortage to say now you got to wear this, but where am I going to get it from? You can't buy it, and now the stores is all sold out. So it's just tough when you create these type of standards. But I'm telling you, man, our businesses in Chicago have stepped up unbelievably.
Nice.
Like just showing up, donating the N95 masks, doing drives, bringing lunch to the station, bringing out gloves and just bringing out support. Because once that start hitting the media, start catching it, like officers are out here and they don't even have the right equipment.
Right.
People really stepped up, and that was impressive to see our city kind of come together like that.
Yeah. How about the city in general? You guys getting hit like the hospitals really hard? And is it starting to calm down a little bit now, or?
Yeah, I think it's one of our big convention centers was reconfigured to be a 3,000 bed, kind of makeshift hospital. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of in anticipation of a lot of cases coming. And so what ended up happening, though, is that they really didn't get that influx. And, they attribute it to the, stay-at-home orders and, all the precautions that was made. But we really didn't get there, so they've already started to scale that back.
Okay.
As far as the way, but the hospitals have been able to cope with it. It's been nothing like in New York. We didn't really get hit like that. So.
All right. So as far as Chicago PD, I noticed you guys just got a new chief or commissioner or whatever you guys call it, a brother from Dallas, right? Is that right?
Right.
Dallas. Right. What's the kind of makeup of Chicago PD? You got a lot of blacks, a lot of minorities in the department?
No,
really?
absolutely not. So with it, one of the big things with the push, of trying to get African Americans involved in law enforcement has been like one of our most troubling, most difficult kind of things to undergo. So we've had police tests almost at a clip of going like every other year, which is unheard of generally in how we did it in CPD, because the push is really of trying to get these minority applicants. We're trying everything from visiting, the churches, going into the communities, going to the colleges, and all of these ways. But because of the negative attention that the media puts on policing, blacks just are not into doing it. It's just, and kind of Roy said it, right? The last thing you ever gonna do is to be a police officer. I tell you that being a cop, it was nowhere near my radar. Nowhere near. I never even thought about it. I didn't even know, I didn't know, much about it at all.
Uh-huh.
And, so it's just not something that's really on the radar that way. But it's just necessary because, again, being in community policing, you talk to the community a lot.
Yep.
And the big thing they ask for is, I want to see officers that look like me. I want to see officers patrolling the neighborhoods that are African American. But here's the troubling part. The average age of the black officer in CPD, 45 years old.
What was that?
Average
45? 45?
45 years old is the average black cop.
Wow.
So that means, we can retire at 50. 5 years, the average black cop is gone. We're on the verge of being extinct and obsolete from policing in Chicago. So the push is like how we got to get more blacks in law enforcement, and that's kind of like one of the things I do too within this community policing piece, is to show that it's more to the job than just what you see. Right? There's so many different things you can do to impact the community and to make change. You really serious about making a change, you got to put some skin in the game.
Exactly.
Yes.
On the team.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do from the outside.
Yeah. Don't speak
About
about it.
Way more impact when you're on the inside and you're part of the process. You're part of the solution now.
Definitely. And how's that been working? You've been able to get people in the door, taking some tests? Or?
It's straggling along, but again, we've neglected this for a long time.
Yeah.
So now to try to catch up and get it to that point, and so now it gets to the, it's at the point now where, when you see a new black officer show up at the station, where everybody's excited, like, ooh, there's one. It's like right? Oh, there's one here, right? Everybody's excited, like, let me go meet him.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of turning that way, but we're starting to see it, and you're seeing younger guys, young African American guys coming in, people that are from the neighborhoods and from the community that are bringing a different perspective into what they do. Right? They want to help out their neighborhoods, but they also understand that all these things that go into the process.
Yeah, no doubt.
That just makes us for such a well-rounded officer, and that's just what we need.
Yeah.
We need that total package.
Right. Now the fire department, are they about as large as you guys?
I don't really talk about the fire department, but
No doubt.
but they have the same type of issues. Though,
that's where I was leading. I was like, do they see more blacks in the fire department?
Yeah, same type of issues. Even just recently, in recent history, there was a major lawsuit against the fire department for promotions and testing for African Americans.
Okay.
And that's just, it's just getting into these type of careers. Like, there's so many obstacles that are kind of placed to not make it as smooth as it should be to get people from the neighborhoods to be first responders.
Yeah, I was reading an article once, and they were talking about recruiting for police departments and trying to get minorities and African Americans in the door, but a lot of it was the backgrounds, because when patrol would go through, they would sweat these low income neighborhoods for seatbelt tickets or what have you, and then they don't have the money to pay the fine, so then they get a warrant. and then they get arrested for the warrant, and then now when they want trying to be a cop in background, that comes up, so they get disqualified. So it's just like, that never-ending cycle
it's easy to get caught up in the hood because, like growing up on the West Side, like, so, I'm walking down the street and I'm just walking past, in the Chicago, we call it a spot. They selling dope. I'm not selling dope. I just walk past it. Guess who hops out? Chicago PD. They throw us all against the wall. They don't know me from whoever, and even if I say I'm not with them, they don't know I'm not with them, And so when you live in those environments, it's easier to get caught up in mess than it is if you just grew up in the suburbs, like where my kids grew up. Now that stuff doesn't happen. So, you get documented, you were associated with those guys, and now that's in your background. So you apply to police officers, you associate, and people that are not from that environment don't understand that it's that easy to get caught up in that type of situation when you that program.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of people up.
Yeah. I know you guys mentioned earlier that there was a family member that was law enforcement. What kind of drew you guys, aside from him, to say, okay, you know what, I want to be a police officer, I want to get into law enforcement?
Well, for me, like I said, it was my cousin. My cousin Jermaine was like a huge step for me because he's been a cop like 3 years older more before I did. So I was in the Army when he became a cop. I was actually a civilian when he was in the military. So for me, like when I was in the military, I was thinking about what can I do when I get out, and then that's one of the things that kind of comes across your radar when you are processing. You talk to like these law enforcement agencies, and I'm like, man, this seems kind of cool, but I was like, nah, I can never do it because that's not what we do. But then when my cousin did it, that was a big thing for me. And you kind of look at it, you start following the job, you start watching cops and stuff. Kind of adrenaline junkie. You say, I can do this. It seems kind of fun. And then he did it. So, my uncle did it. My Uncle Joe did it. So I got a pass. I can do it too. And so that kind of sparks it.
Okay. What about you, Jermaine?
Yeah. So with me, I was not going to be a police officer. I had no intentions, no plans of doing it. I was working a decent job so I got on when I was 23, but I had a decent job when I was, 22. I'm good. But actually my dad comes up and says, hey, the police are giving a test. You should try it out. I'm like, I'm good. Yeah. So, but he was at the time, he was at the post office. I don't know why was he advocating for the police. I don't know. But, but so he says, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay for your test for you. Do it. So, I couldn't say no now. So I kind of went along with the process. For CPD, it's actually a long application. It's almost a year from the time you take the initial test to when you start the police academy. There's these tests, like the physical test. Then you got to wait another month to take the medical, then the lie detector, then the back. It's just so many steps. But it just so happened that when it was time, got close to the end of that year, I was laid off from my job.
Okay.
At that point, it was just like, hey, CPD, hey, are y'all ready for me? Look how I'm here. And it was just like, but I'm a person that really believes in like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? The path we're on and where we end up and where we go, we're being put there. God's putting us where we're supposed to be to do what we're supposed to do. So he forced me. He was like, man, get out of that job. I need you here. Yeah. And so it kind of worked out perfectly that way. And I got laid off, and so I was like, okay, let's do it. And a couple months later, after that, I started the academy, December 2002, and and it's just been, it's just ever since. When I think back, it was just one of the greatest decisions I ever made, and 100 times I would do it 100 times.
All right, yeah. So aside from community policing, what else have you done over there in Chicago? You've been patrol, of course.
Yeah. So with me, how the city's kind of set up, we talk a little bit about the West Side. So there's several rough neighborhoods in the city. You always hear South and West Sides, right? The South and the West Side of Chicago is kind of where the rough communities are. And no coincidence is also the Black communities is where the largest, concentration of Blacks are. And so that's where I've spent all my career in those areas. And so that's Inglewood on the South Side, if people hear about that one. And of course, and where I am on the West Side. And so all those neighborhoods is where I've spent my entire career, and so it's been heavily mostly in doing patrol, just being a guy going out there responding to calls. For a little before I got promoted to a sergeant, I was a school resource officer. And that's really when I started to kind of get into the community piece about there's so much more we can do. Like there's different aspects into the roles that we play in law enforcement. And it's not always about the suppression piece, the enforcement piece. It there's a lot of intervention and prevention work we can do. And I really started to see that, and it came to life. And that's what kind of, when I became a sergeant and I got the opportunity to become a community policing sergeant, I was like, absolutely, this is definitely something I can do.
Yeah. And how long you been a sergeant over there now?
3 years. Been a sergeant for 3 years.
Right. And the sergeant over community policing for that same amount of time, or?
So I became a sergeant. I worked again on the West Side for about the first year, and then I got one of the commanders of the district that I ended up going to reached out to me and asked if I would be interested. And I was reluctant at first because, again, the community policing thing I hadn't done before, and it's like it carries some negativity attached to it if you can within law enforcement. Whether it's like hug a thug, all those kind of things. People kind of turn away and turn off to it. But so I took the chance and got into it, and I started to learn more about what it really meant. And it's just opened my eyes up to so much more, and just the opportunities for my career even that have kind of came out of this has been huge and major.
Yeah. I mean, we need all those different pieces in law enforcement to make the whole thing go. We need the head bashers. We need the SWAT dudes, but we need the community policing people as well, because we need to build that trust in the community so they can come to us and help us out with stuff, and so we need all that. So I don't know what that negative connotation came to, with school resource officers and community policing, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is fear, though. Like one of those things, because what community meetings kind of turn into is like an attack session, right?
Yeah.
When you go there, there's like, why y'all not out here? Go stop these drugs, it turns into that. And so people get officers get nervous, like I don't want to go in there and get on the firing squad. But that was one of the first things I wanted to address, like in coming in. So when I do community meetings now, they are so much more smoother because we got a lot of that out of the way. And usually what people want to do is just really be heard. Right? Yeah, exactly. Say, well, this happened to me. I don't like that. And generally what we end up doing as police officers is to try to defend the behavior. Right? It's really not about that. It's really about acknowledging how a person feels.
Right.
Regardless if it's right or wrong, if I'm upset, to be able to say, I understand, because if it happened to me, I would be mad. Right. Somebody stopped me for no reason, put me against the car, regardless if it's fact or not, how would I feel? I would not feel cool. Yeah. So they acknowledge and say, I agree, that's wrong. Let's get past it. What can we do to make it better? And that kind of takes a lot of air out of that hostility to say, like, all right, he understands me. We can start making stuff happen now, instead of being caught back into what had happened last month or last year, or what happened to my cousin's friend, that type of
stuff. Right, no doubt. And what do you feel about that, Roy?
That's it's the same thing. That's big. That's a lot of what I do in community police. I go to these community meetings, and sometimes you may have a citizen that comes along with one of the faith-based groups, and they have an issue with what some officer may have done or officers have done, and a lot of it's just hearing them out. You learn that once you get a little seasonal patrol, you learn that anyway. Sometimes if you just roll up to a call and you just listen to a person, you don't try to interject and just let them go and listen. A lot of times that'll solve the problem right there. They'll feel a lot better than you just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I wasn't there, but I'm here now. What can I do to help you? And they be like, hold on, this dude listened to me. This officer listened to me. They let me have a voice. They heard me out, and now they say, you know what? I'm sorry that happened to you. What can I do to help you? That goes a long way. It's a lot of stuff we do on patrol, but it's stuff that kind of what you gain as you become a seasoned officer. You gain after doing all this, because with the job, we don't want to fight everyone. We don't want to argue with everyone. So you start learning now, to go to these situations and just simmer it down. When you're young, you want to get out. You're like, what's happening? What's going on? Now you're like, okay, come on, I'm gonna hear you out. Okay, cool. And that solves a lot of the issue. And a lot of the issue with the community is they don't feel like they have a voice, right? That goes back to that community, that 21st century police and stuff, right? They don't feel like they have a voice. So you give them a voice. You hear them out. Your opinion matters. Okay, I understand. I can see how you feel that way. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
And I think the more we do that in law enforcement, the better off. And like my cousin said, dude, it was scary. Like when I remember when I first signed up for community policing, that's totally not my wheelhouse. I'm an Army guy, I'm from the hood. I spent most of my life working, bad areas. I'm a knuckle dragger. So for me to go to my first community meeting or help a kid with their homework that wasn't my kid. It was different. I stepped outside of my comfort zone. This isn't what I do. I'd be better off being on a gang team or something. That's what I do. That's the environment I'm from. That's what I understand.
Yep.
But to go in this line of this particular assignment was like, I can't believe it opened my eyes to this aspect of our community, dealing with different people, dealing with politicians, dealing with faith-based groups, nonprofits. I have all these different connections in the city. I know all these different people. If I have a homeless kid, I know who to call. I know who runs the average youth group homes. It's crazy. And also, I think it is going to help me later on in different aspects of law enforcement when I go back to patrol. When if I do any type of other assignments, like these kids I have connections with, some of them are going to take the good path. Some of them aren't going to take a good path. Guess who they're going to have a connection with? They're going to have a connection with me because I helped them with their homework. So he might grow up to go on the wrong side of the tracks. Who's he going to talk to? When something goes on in the neighborhood, who's he going to talk to? He's going to talk to me because he knows me. And putting those little seeds, one day it'll grow and we can benefit from it. Some kids turn out good. We got a couple of success stories from those situations, taking kids to basketball games and things like that. So it's a very vital aspect, to law enforcement. It gets overlooked, but now that I've done it and I'm coming towards the end of my assignment, I can say that it's very important. It's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Jermaine, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Doing what?
In the next 5 years? Oh, that'll be what? 23 years in law? Oh, man. My back still work, my knees.
I'm hurt right now, bro.
Still holding up. But really, my goal is to really kind of go further and push further. I would love to be able to command a district, and not just anyone, but one of the worst,
Wow.
To be one of the toughest assignments, because just in learning so many things along the way of how to collaborate, how to build these relationships, how to combine just those three major things, that's suppression, intervention, and prevention when it comes to crime, and making sure that we focus on those, because so often all we do is suppress, right?
Yep.
It's just like, I need a bunch of cops, I need them on this corner, I need it clear. But what we do is that as soon as you push it out, you got a void there, and then there's another one come in, and we just endless cycle.
Right.
And if we're not paying attention to all these pieces, and I think just bringing that kind of thing to the table is something I would really love an opportunity to do. And I know we've tried it in different ways, but one thing I've learned from doing this particular job is that as law enforcement officers, and especially as Black police officers, we bring integrity to a system, which means that because when all of these people are at play and you're trying to combine and get all these forces together, inevitably a lot of people got agendas. Not churches, they got agendas. The nonprofits, they got agendas. The schools, sometimes they have agendas. But to think of it as a police officer, what really, in this process, to try and get this stuff together to improve the community, it's like our hearts are pure in that, because it actually benefits us if it's more crime, right? That guarantees you more overtime, that guarantees you more security. So to do it, to be able to go into something and offer that integrity into the middle of it, I think it's just something that we've neglected of what our job is to understand. We've neglected the impact of that. And it gets so often, and you get officers who kind of get caught up in the media piece, and we're the victims, right? Everybody hates us. They're gonna sue me. You're playing this role of not understanding, bro. You have so much power to affect lives. And even on the most minor scale, because of one day you feel bad or good, you decide to write a ticket or not, you can have a person's life go on a whole separate trajectory by towing their car, making them lose their job. It's so much stuff you can do, and to realize the amount of power you wield, in just your decision, that's something you got to take seriously. You got to understand and respect. And once we really start to tap into our full potential, get into these areas where we can really influence things to change people's lives in a good way and in a positive way, I think it takes law enforcement to, on whole other levels. And it gets outside of, some people say that ain't my job, right? I'm not here to try to be a social worker or try to improve, that's not the thing. But me personally, it is my job because it's my community.
Yep.
Right. This my family. So it is my job. I take it personally.
Yes, sir.
And remove the humanity piece out of it, it's hard to get a person to think that way. But the people I'm serving, these kids I see are me.
Yes.
On the street I was on, doing the same exact things I did. And someone stepped in for me, right? I had family members, or I had my coaches, or different people stepped in for me. I need to be the same thing to step in for them, and to kind of just see that power. That's our responsibility as Black officers.
Right. Yes. Yes, that's what's up. Yeah. So during your time in community policing, or even before that, on patrol, what have you, can you think of a particular success story, that we talked about, working out? You don't mention any names or anything, but just something that you came on this dire situation, you did what you did as a cop, and things are better, and they've come back to you, months, years later, and now they're doing good. Yeah,
actually, I think one of the big things is I'm wearing my Westside Sports hoodie right here.
Okay.
Chicago Police and Westside Sports is actually a project I started a year ago, and it was really built on my own personal journey, being an officer. Right when I was at about the 3-4 year mark in my career, I was about to quit. I didn't think I could do it, man. Like, it was just the depression, I don't know if I can do this, like, every day dealing with these drug addicts, gangs and shit. Like, every day I'm like, I don't know if I'm made for this. And right about that time, my son, the one who's 16 now, turned 5.
Okay.
Right? So he's at the age that he could play sports. And so I took him out to play Little League Baseball. And taking him out, to play the sport, and you know how dads, when you come out a couple times, you the coach now, because the dads out there.
Yeah.
So so I kind of got out there and got sucked into it, and I'm telling you, man, that changed my life unbelievably, of having that balance, right? To have that light to go with the darkness. And so I got in, and this was 11 years ago. I've been coaching ever since, and so I had an opportunity to really do this. And this came from a story of just a horrible situation with one of my players. So this last Memorial Day weekend, one of the players who I had coached with my son, who's my son's age, his name was Devontae Jackson. And growing up in the years, he had moved away from the park. And so he had got kind of detached from what was going on with the sports piece. And when that happened, he lost a lot of what he would do. Like, he lived across the street before, he would always be at practice, and, we would be doing sports together. He moved away and he lost that piece, right? And so this 15-year-old kid, he got caught up in gangs, and got caught up in like just some of those things that affect so many of us. And last Memorial Day weekend, he was murdered. Died in his back, set up, coming outside his house, rival gang members waiting on him, murdered him right there on the street. And to kind of see that thing in his life, and losing that, and not being able to kind of catch him and reach out to him because of that access issue, was kind of one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this. What we ended up doing was making sports teams across the whole West Side. We had 6 sites, trying to identify every pocket where kids could be, so there would be no excuse that they couldn't make it to the park. And so we set out to kind of really set this league up, and it was really to kind of atone for that huge mistake that I made in his life of not being there for him. And so because of that, we were able to kind of be super successful. And now over last year, we had 1,000 kids playing baseball, archery, basketball, just doing things and working with officers, working with people in their community, and really just making sure they had someone to be able to go to. And, just in thinking about that is just one of the big things, when you regret stuff and you wish you had another chance. Really with Devontae, I wish I could have, done a better job of filling that void and that access issue to be more involved in. But that just inspires me. I want to take this thing bigger, and so that every kid is always able to walk somewhere to have something positive.
Yes, that's wow. That's an amazing story. Amazing story. So you said archery and all these other different sports. How do you solicit people in those different sports to come through?
again, it's a huge thing, man. Police, the integrity we bring to a system. Like, to be able to say, hey, the police department is involved, CPD is involved, the support comes. Yeah. And it's just like, we can make sure it's done the right way. Yep. So we've got our major league teams, our NBA teams, like they're all a part of it. You know, we have 2 baseball. Well, you probably got in Cali. I got 100, but we got. So we got both our cities.
Yeah, we got two in LA. One in San Diego.
Everybody already know I still root for everything Chicago.
Oh, okay. I know we stay on that bear down. But it was just, in getting the professional teams to be a part of it, you know, once that adds that credibility to it, like CPD in the Bulls and, you know, these type of things so getting the support and getting people in the community involved hasn't really been an issue. Now it's just making sure we have enough space. We have gyms that we can't fit all the kids in, right? You know, because everyone wants to be a part of it. So everything's totally free, absolutely 100% free. They have to worry about that barrier. So there's no excuse that you can't come out and do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just a sponsorship from businesses, from the teams, from local, you know, just people locally that just want to give to kind of to see what we're doing.
I want to touch on something too, what you said, Jermaine. And I didn't realize this, the part, like you said, the powerful, the credibility about being a police department, the legitimacy that it brings, right? We were having the Christmas block parade. You know, we do the annual parade, right? So we go through the north side, which is our lower socioeconomic area. So we didn't have toys. And so one of the things I did was I went to the local businesses like Target to Walmart, and I was like, hey, I'm with the police department. I want to get toys. It was crazy to me to see how open they were to providing like toys and vouchers and things like that, so we can give toys to the community. I never looked at it like that. But when you say, it's different when you just Joe Citizen, when you're a cop saying, hey, I want to get toys out to the, you know, poor community. People are like, okay, here you go. Here's $500 worth. Here's $1,000 worth. And that opened my eyes up a lot, you know. So that's just the beginning to me. Like, I never knew that. I thought, no way they'd give me money to buy toys for kids, you know. So that's a big part. A lot of law enforcement agencies don't do that. And it's something that I hope that people take advantage of in the future, you know, because it's just something that can bridge that gap between us and the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with your sports thing, Jermaine, you say your son's all into baseball. Were you a baseball player growing up, or?
No, absolutely not. No? Never played baseball until I brought him out there, and I had to learn.
You had to learn.
By the manuals, like how you do this, got the glove on the wrong hand, like that kind of stuff. So I was always a football guy, and basketball. That was my thing. So this baseball thing, I'm like, what is this? And so I actually had him do 2 sports, right? I said, baseball, but it was football too. And like that was my thing. Like being a football coach, I didn't mind. And he broke my heart that year. He was Dad, I don't want to do football. Like, why you do this to me, man? But so he can
CTE.
Right. Exactly. For real.
Smart.
Yeah, but
unless you get that 90-mile-an-hour fastball up on the head. Other than that,
So he put his full attention into the baseball piece, and he's actually a pretty decent player. He's actually doing a pretty good job. He lost his season this year, though. Lost his whole junior year, so I told him you better come back ready.
Yeah. You know, that's a good thing, because I've been reading and hearing, because I follow a lot of sports, baseball, basketball, football, all that. And baseball's been hurting for African Americans for a long time. So, yeah. So, back in the 70s and the early 80s, there was a whole lot. But, now we're kind of gravitating more towards basketball, obviously, and football. And, more Hispanics have been going towards baseball. And the African Americans are kind of like, dropping off. But there's a few in the league now, so that's what's
not
up.
Like it used to be, though.
Not like it used to be, when I remember back in the 70s. I'm kind of dating myself, but yeah.
Yes, you are.
Wait, the 70s? Wait.
Yeah, you are. I remember the 80s and the 90s,
Yeah. Well, let's say the 90s with Ken Griffey Jr. and all that, so.
Yeah. Frank Thomas and all them. Andre Dawson. Chicago.
Okay, Chicago. We still talking about Chicago. All right, fellas. Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate both you guys coming on today. sharing some time with us, letting us get some insight into both you guys' lives, family, how you guys got into law enforcement. It was real fun, so I appreciate that. But before I let you guys go, I like a game. I like to play a game with my guests. So let me set this up for you real quick. All right, so this game I like to call is called
Black or Blue, 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 Black or Blue.
All right, so this game is called Black or Blue, and your category today, Jermaine, is called Look Ma, I'm on TV. All right, fictional TV characters. I'm gonna give you a name, and all you got to do is tell me, is that person a black TV character? Is that person a black and blue TV character, meaning they're a black cop on TV, or are they just blue, meaning they're just a white cop on TV? So that should be pretty easy, right?
So
white cop,
so black.
If they're just a black civilian, like if I were to say James Evans, you would say, James Evans, right?
Black, yeah.
Black. All right. So that's the premise. So either they're a black civilian, a black cop, or a non-black cop. So if they're a black cop, they black and blue, right? Easy enough, right? All right.
Gotcha.
All right. So your first one, I gave you a hint.
Pressure on me. All right.
you can phone a friend. That's what Roy's there for.
Okay. All right. Y'all, you got it. Like, what show is that, man?
I know. Like,
you talking about the 70s though? He gonna pull up.
I know.
Something.
You gave me the 70s.
You knew James Evans, right?
Yeah.
Everybody know that. What's up?
Yeah, reruns going on.
Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah. Don't get it twisted. I was like a baby during the 70s. Come on now. Anyway, so since I told you your first one was James Evans, here's your real first one, Florida Evans.
Oh, Florida's black.
Florida is black. Yes, sir. Yes, played by Esther Rolle on Good Times. See, easy enough, right? You getting it?
Oh yeah, okay. All right, I got that.
Your next one.
That's Chicago. That was Chicago project.
Oh, yes, that was Good Times. Good Times. Yeah. Your next one, Rico Tubbs.
Okay, that's a black and blue.
That is definitely black and blue. Played by Philip Michael Thomas on Miami Vice. See, 2 for 2. You got that? All right. Here we go. Shakima Greggs. Shakima. She went by Kimma Greggs.
Oh, that's one of my favorite shows.
Kima, the Wire.
Kima.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Black and blue.
And blue. Yeah.
That's my favorite show right there.
The Wire.
You gave me her government name. Like,
I know. I was like, who? He said Kima. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Played by Sonia Sohn on The Wire, definitely. Your next one, you should get this one. Andy Taylor. Andy Taylor.
Griffin Show. Andy Griffin.
Oh, the Andy Griffin. Oh, that's blue right there.
Yeah, that's blue.
That's all blue. I'm like, who was that?
Hey, it was no black in that show.
I'm like, Andy Taylor. I'm like, he's singing? Is that a singer? Country music? What is that?
Your next one. Whitley Gilbert.
Ooh.
Is that a different world? A girl from
you tell me.
World?
You tell me.
I'm thinking that's like the ULA or something right there. Huh?
Whitley?
It's like one of Grandpa's shows.
You was on the right track.
What's Whitley from the spinoff from the Cosby Show?
Yeah. If you feel confident, say it.
I think she's black. She's black.
Yeah, see, you right. You right.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Played by Jasmine
Guy.
Guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the character was Whitley Gilbert, played by Jasmine Guy on A Different World. Your next one, Isaac Washington. Isaac Washington.
Oh, Roy, what show is that?
I have no idea.
Isaac.
You sound black and blue. That sound like old.
It sounds black and blue.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, we're gonna go black and blue on Isaac.
Yeah.
He was black, but Isaac on the love boat.
Was he security?
Nah,
was he security on the boat?
He was the bartender. The bartender, played by Ted Lane on the Love Boat.
So you got me dated on that one, right?
Hey man,
I'm on the Family Matters era.
Hey, that's what TV Land is for. Come on now. Your next one. Brenda Lee Johnson.
I'm lost on this one.
Yeah, don't know that one. I know Brenda Lee Johnson. I know that's a black name, so it's black or black and blue.
Which one? Final answer?
Especially
let's go with
what we going with?
Let's go with black.
Going with black?
Wait, we haven't had it. Yeah, let's go with, I'm going to say black.
Black? That's on the closer.
Brenda Lee White. Oh my God.
Closer.
It's spelled Leigh.
Yes.
That's why.
You said Lee. See,
that was a good.
Hey, that's her name. Played by Kira Sedgwick on the closer.
Johnson too. I was like, Lee Johnson? Oh, yeah. Come on.
Oh yeah, she got it.
Y'all know that show though, right? You've seen, at least commercials of it.
I heard the close. I never watched it.
Yeah. Kira Sedgwick. Apparently she was from Atlanta and then she transferred out to LAPD. So that's how she got Brenda Lee Johnson. She was from
I knew it was from the South.
Was from the South.
Yeah, I was like, Lee?
She was from the South.
No, that's no.
All right, couple more.
All right.
Helen Willis.
Man, you pulling them out, dude.
I'm pulling them out.
Can I get a Carl Winslow?
Nah. See, that would have been too easy. Helen Willis. Y'all
know that one.
Y'all know this? Take a stab at it. Y'all know it.
Let me guess. Helen what?
Willis.
That's black. I'm gonna say black and blue. You trying to throw?
She black, but she not a cop though.
She not blue.
Yeah, Helen Willis.
Jefferson.
Roxy Roker on the Jeffersons. Fun fact, y'all know whose mother she is, right?
Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah.
Lenny Kravitz's mother, yep. Kravitz's mother, yeah. Helen Willis, played by Roxy Roker on the Jeffersons. And your last one, John Luther.
John Luther. Oh, that's black and blue.
That's definitely black and blue. Played by Idris Elba.
Yeah, I know the Luther name. I've never actually seen it, but I
haven't either. Supposedly that's a.
Yeah, I never seen Luther either.
Yeah, but I've heard about it. You guys heard about it, right? So I think you got more right than you got wrong. So we're gonna call you the winner.
There we go. Yeah. You keep the score out.
Everybody,
you hit us with the 70s hard, though, man.
With the 70s, come on, man. That's what reruns are for, bruh.
Oh, man.
You hit us with the 70s.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. You saw you set it up.
No NYPD blue or nothing.
hey, that you wouldn't have been good on that neither. So don't even try. I know, but yo, fellas, I appreciate you coming on the show. And it was real fun. We got you on that black and blue game, but hey, watch more TV. You gotta stay home anyway, right?
Yeah. Start binging on Nick at Night, I guess.
I know, right? TV land.
Yeah, yes sir, man. I appreciate you. Be safe out there, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You got it. All right, Square Pegs. That's it for episode 20. That's right, episode 20 of the Black and Blue Podcast. I want to thank everybody involved for helping me bring this vision of diversity in law enforcement to you. Also want to thank my guests on today's Double Tap episode, Sergeant Jermaine Harris of the Chicago Police Department, and my boy Roy Williamson, who will be a recurring guest dropping in on the show from time to time. If you like the episode as well, come on now, make sure you like and subscribe to the show on the YouTube channel or whatever podcast platform you hear my voice today. And make sure you rate and comment on the episode as well. I got a lot of different ideas swimming around in this head of mine, like Black and Blue Live. That's the weekly live version of the show where I bring on panelists of guests from inside and outside of law enforcement to talk about different topics. It's an interactive type of show where you, the viewer, can chat in your comments or questions. It's simulcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Periscope. So make sure you check that out. I'll be back next week with another fun and fact-filled episode of the Black and Blue Podcast. Till then, y'all know what to do. Stay black in blue. I'll holla at you. Peace.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.